I was going to tell you about our new pollinator garden, which is pretty exciting to me. I come out in the morning and I look at the plants and it makes me feel really good. We used to have veggie gardens here. We had 2 raised beds, and but we never had much success growing vegetables. So eventually we wondered if it might be because there was too much shade. So we decided that we would move the veggie gardening to the other side of the yard, which is in process. It's a total mess right now, and then make this side a pollinator garden. I wanted just to share a little bit of information about what we learned about pollinator gardens in order to start one here. You want to have as many native species as you can. I read that if you have over 8 native species, that increases the native bees that come through your yard, and the native ladybugs as well, which keep the aphid population down. You want different heights, different colors, different textures. For example, bees are very attracted to blue flowers, purple, yellow, white. Butterflies like red, purple, and blue. And hummingbirds like, of course, red and orange, and they like those tubular flowers. But the main thing that I learned was that there's 4 different things that you need in a pollinator garden to attract them. 1, you need nectar sources, so flowers. You need host plants, which is what the caterpillars or what the butterflies can lay their eggs on, and what the caterpillars can eat when they come out of the eggs. You need a water source, like a bird bath, for example, or a pond. And then you need rest spots, some flat rocks where the butterflies can land. Here we have some stones here, preferably in a sunny spot. And the key I learned is actually, you think it's the nectar flowers, but it's actually the host plants, because that's what they need to lay the eggs and to provide food source for the larvae, the caterpillars, or as Boo Boo calls them, the huehuepepes. So I was going to show you kind of what we put in. Not all of these plants are native, but where we were able to, when we were getting the plants, like I tried to select varieties that it said that they were native to South Texas. So we'll start over here in the front garden bed. So this is a bed that's in the front part of, well, it's right by our porch, so it's our front bed. And when we moved in, and until just a few months ago, it was filled with umbrella papyrus, which is a really tenacious, I don't know if I would say invasive, but definitely like a very dominating plant. So we had to saw it down, and we had to then dig out the roots to be able to uncover all of the soil. But once we did, we were able to plant some stuff up here. This is butterfly bush. That's a nectar plant that attracts bees. This is borage. It has these really nice blue flowers that bees really like. This is bee balm, which is a nectar plant for bees again. This is holy basil, and that one is cinnamon basil. And that's another nectar plant for bees. Mint, and I think more butterfly bush over here. And then these plants here are fennel. So fennel's in the carrot family. They have the same kind of leafy or very kind of frondy leaves as dill and carrot, and also rue. And these are host plants for swallowtails. Last week we had, for a couple of weeks, we had some black swallowtail caterpillars munching on these plants. And in the last few days, they've gone off, hopefully to pupate. I don't know, maybe they got taken by birds, but they used to be here. Now they're not. We wish them the best. We scattered some seeds from a bag of Texas wildflower seeds, and a lot of what came up was this right here, which I always knew as ice plant, but is actually called a white-mouthed daylily. It's a kind of spiderwort. It is a native Texas plant, but it came up and just like totally overwhelmed everything else, and so we ended up taking most of it out except for here along the edges of the bed. And this bed, this is where I planted native milkweed. There's a couple different kinds. I can't remember. I think that's is that a desert milkweed? I don't know, but it's native. And then this one is also a native milkweed to Texas. It's called a swamp milkweed. You do want to be careful to get a native milkweed for for monarchs, because the more prevalent tropical milkweed, it flowers year round, and so that disrupts like their egg laying and pupating and migration patterns. We also have some lantanas, which are native. We have some salvias, which is I think a kind of sage, which is also a native plant. We have more Greg's mistflower, fragrant mistflower. I ended up putting in some rue, which is an herb that's also in the fennel family, so it should be a good host plant. And then I also put in over there, way back in the back, some Prairie Verbena. The verbena is also a native plant here. There is rue, which is in the same fennel family, so it makes a good host plant for butterflies. This is dill as well, and that's also in the fennel family. And then just one more I wanted to mention is the cenizo, or the Texas sage. So this is the purple flowering sage that blooms after it rains, which is amazing. We also have some plants in our yard that just like come up as volunteers year after year, which are also good for pollinators. One of them is the passion flower vine. So and then also the sunflower, which comes up just kind of like as a weed in people's yards, but year after year I see it just attracting a huge number of solitary bees, carpenter bees, leafcutter bees, sweat bees. It's really cool. Do you want to show them like the blooming ones? Most of these plants we did get at a nursery at Rainbow Gardens, but there's other ways that you can find plants for low cost or for free even. There's a couple of Facebook groups where people do like seed swaps or plant swaps, and we'll throw the links up there for y'all. And then there's also a next door group where people also trade plants, and there's the Native Plant Society of Texas, which often has like plant sales or plant giveaways. And then SAWS has programs where like if you take out a certain amount of square footage of lawn, you can get coupons, I think up to $100 per 200 square feet of lawn removed for water saving native plants. So it takes a little bit more research, a little bit more legwork, but there are ways that you can get these kind of plants, like if you don't have a huge budget for gardening. Like it makes me really happy to I come out every morning and I check on the plants. I see how they're doing. I love it when you can tell that they're happy after it rains. Just one small thing that you can do to protect pollinators and to make urban spaces biodiverse and beautiful.